You're invited to tune in to Open Mic with Bishop Andre Sonny Woods. That's Thursdays at 10 p.m. Thursdays at 10 p.m. right here on LICMC Radio and Facebook Live. This is Open Mic with Bishop Andre Sonny Woods right here on LICMC.net and Facebook Live.
Now you are listening to Bishop Sonny Woods. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for Bishop Sonny Woods. You're tuning in right now.
Well, we praise God and thank God. This is the day the Lord has made. And we're excited, we're rejoicing, we're glad of this day. This is Bishop Andre Woods, and I want to welcome you to this inaugural broadcast, our first broadcast for Open Mic. Going to be heard here every Thursday night at 10 p.m. We certainly want to thank the station and certainly our sister, London, Washington, for this opportunity. And listen, I want you to get on now. Like and share, call your neighbors, call your friends, let them know that we are on. And listen, if you want to join the conversation that we're going to have, get on Facebook now, London, Washington page, and you'll be able to hear what we're doing, what we're talking about, and want you to jump in and comment if you want to, and ask questions. We got some very wonderful guests, exciting guests, going to be joining me in just a few moments. Brother Walter Scrutchins, Brother Raymond Hinton out of Akron, Ohio. They're going to be my special guests tonight, and we're going to talk about some things in music. And certainly we want you to be a part of what the conversation is going to be. Information and learning, and I want you to be a part of what we're going to discuss. Listen, I want you to get on Facebook, do your likes and your shares, and then certainly start your parties. This is audio only, but you'll still be able to comment, and I'll be able to see your comments. And if you have any questions, myself and our guests that's going to be on, I want you to prepare for that. We're going to be talking to Brother Walter Scrutchins and Brother Raymond Hinton in just a moment. But let me say this to all of you. We thank God how the Lord has blessed us. Yesterday was the inaugural of our new president, Joseph Biden, and a historical moment when we saw the swearing in of Madam Vice President. First time we've had a chance to say that, Kamala Harris. What a blessing. What a history-making event. And certainly we're all excited about what's going to come as a result of this change that's going on in our nation. So we're getting ready for that. But let me also tell you about what we're doing. We have so much going on, and we'll get a chance to discuss it. But you can follow me on all of my Facebook pages, the Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA, and then the Fellowship of Music and Arts, then my own personal page, Andre Sonny Woods, and Bishop Andre S. Woods, all on Facebook. We're going to be, if you miss any part of this conversation, we're going to upload it to all of those pages, and you'll be able to listen in on the dialogue. And it's going to be informational and a blessing to all of you. Well, I want to welcome my guests. I believe they're on the line. Brother Walter Scrutchins and Brother Raymond Hinton, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, sir, we are. How are you, Bishop?
All right. Now, this is Brother Walter Scrutchins, and the one and only Raymond Hinton. Blessings to you guys.
Blessings, sir. Blessings.
Listen. We want to do a little brief introduction. Now, Walter Scrutchins is not only an accomplished composer, musician, and teacher in the school system, but he's also the president of the division of the men's division of the Gospel Music Workshop of America. And then, of course, he's the organist now at the Zion Temple Baptist Church in Akron, Ohio, where our good brother and friend is the pastor, Reverend Mark Tony Ward. Brother Raymond Hinton, an accomplished soloist, gospel songwriter, composer, and director extraordinaire, also on the board with Brother Scrutchins with the men's division of the Gospel Music Workshop of America. I'm happy to have them on as my guests, longtime friends. We've had fellowship that span over the relationship that we share. So we want to welcome them to this edition of Open Mic. Bless you, brothers. Now listen, I'm going to dive into the conversation. Let's start with Raymond, because Raymond is really a Detroiter on loan. He's been on loan to Akron for a whole lot of years, so we ain't going to talk about that. But he relocated from Detroit. Raymond used to be at the Holy Cross Missionary Baptist Church here in the city of Detroit years and years ago. But since those years, he's relocated to Akron in the school system as a teacher. He's retired now, but he's been directing and singing all of his life. So we thank God for that relationship and fellowship. Raymond, listen, give us some background on Raymond Hinton, his tenure and his long time position as minister of music at the Zion Temple Baptist Church.
Thank you, Bishop, for inviting me tonight. We praise God for that. Well, the ministry started in Meridian, Mississippi. From Meridian, Mississippi, I relocated to Akron, Ohio. And as Bishop before stated, I did leave Akron and relocated to Detroit. And I was there at the Holy Cross Baptist Church for numerous of years there, working in the school system there at Edison Elementary School for a long period of time. I left Detroit and relocated back to Akron, Ohio, due to the strike that Detroit was doing at that time. I wasn't a strike deliverer. I had to have finance to live, so I came to Akron and joined with the Zion Temple Baptist Church under the Reverend Dr. Mark Tony Ward. And I've been there for numerous of years, close to 35 years, I believe, Bishop. So you're right, I'm on loan, but I'm at home now at Zion Temple Baptist Church. The music ministry extends all the way from the south to the east. Traveled extensively, worked with Bishop Woods, songwriter, soloist, recorded with Walter Scrutchins and Akron City Family here in Akron, Ohio, recorded with Elvin Dent and the United Voices of Augusta, Georgia. Also recorded with the National Baptist convention there with the Lucy Campbell Choir some years ago. So the music ministry has continued, and God has been faithful, Bishop. I will say He's been faithful, and I love Him for that.
All right, thank God for that. Yeah, it's been a long time, and we get for the journey. And like you said, we've had the kind of fellowship over the years, coming over there by your invitation to do be guests at some of your concerts and workshops and recordings, and then getting with Walter. And Walter, you're going to give us a little background on where you've been, what you've done, and what you're doing, Brother Walter Scrutchins.
Yes, sir. Well, first off, I give honor to God. Thank you, Bishop Woods, because it's because of God that He allowed you to invite us to come on tonight just to talk and enjoy all these years just to give everybody a heads up, Bishop Woods and I met a long time in Akron, Ohio. He was brought over to Akron to do a job that somebody, I guess, they were looking for somebody else. And I just happened to be at the church that Sunday morning. I heard this guy on the organ. I'm like, who in the world is this on this Hammond organ? And so we got to be friends over the years. You remember, Bishop, you were one of the groomsmen in my wedding.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that, don't you? And you had to be my limousine driver because we forgot to order a limousine, if you remember that.
Yeah, I had that white Lincoln back then. Yeah.
Yeah, we forgot. I woke up on the day of the wedding. I'm like, we did not order a limo. But thank God you had just bought that Lincoln, that nice, clean, beautiful, brand new Lincoln right off the line. Okay. And so we've just been fun over the years, But honestly, I'm a product of Chicago. I was born and raised in Chicago, a graduate of Hyde Park Career Academy. I was actually the quarterback for the high school during the time I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the 70s, I also ran track and wrestled and did all that. And I started playing music at the age of 2. My dad told me, he said, I used to go sit down and pick out the tune to all the cartoons. He said I would hear a cartoon and go to the piano and pick out the tune, the melody and whatnot. And so there was a church around the corner from the house. He sent me and my sister around there for piano lessons. And that's how it all got started. I became a product of Robert Townsend, who was a well-known, renowned musician in Chicago, and also Willie Webb, who was the musician for the Roberta Martin singers. Okay?
Yeah, oh man.
So I spent almost 10 years under Willie Webb, under his instruction, him and his son David Webb, and everybody knows who the Roberta Martin singers were back then, And so I've had a rich history. Reverend Dr. Isaac Whitman, and just, Father Hayes was just down the street from the house, and then I could go down on 43rd in Indiana and sit up under Fred Nelson Sr. At that time, Fred Nelson III and I were just little dudes, okay?
Yeah.
But I could go and sit up under the Father at that time, and oh my God, you're talking about First Church Deliverance back in the day.
Yeah.
You're talking about oh my God, the training, and just sitting there, it was like a sponge. You could just soak it up, okay? And so from Chicago, I had an opportunity to go to college, and I left Chicago after graduating from high school, went to college, and was able to finish a degree in music education, and later on finished a master's degree in education. So I've been with Akron Public School System over 37 years now. I'm just too thankful for the opportunities that I've had over the years. I had a chance to meet and work with Reverend James Cleveland, Clay Evans. Oh my God, I could just go up and down the list. And I don't know if you all remember, there was a program back in the 70s called Rock of Ages. Isabel Joseph Johnson was a TV host, and Willie Webb was her musician on Saturday nights. And I think that was a training ground for me, because when those choirs would come up there and didn't have musicians to play for them, myself and Willie Webb's son, David, we had to sit in and cover and help these choirs out. And so because of that, we were able to, you had to learn a song like in 2 minutes, okay? While she had one choir on live TV in one room, we was in another room going over a song with a choir, okay? And so you had to learn that song in 2 minutes and then go out there and play it for me. So it's just, just one thing after another. I just thank God for the opportunities, and then after sitting in, under different leadership at GMWA in 2008, I was called one night and asked if I would take over the men's department, and I was just excited about that opportunity, which I did accept, and I've been chairman of the men's division since 2008. So, and oh my God, the GMWA brothers, I don't know what else I can say about them, but the brothers, there's no brothers in this world like GMWA brothers. Okay, Bishop?
Mm-hmm.
There's no brothers in this world like GMWA brothers. So, God has been good. He's been wonderful. And I'm looking for some more good times, even through this pandemic situation we're going through.
What give us the history of, because when I would come over, that time you had Akron City Family, and you all recorded and was doing music from local writers, and you had soloists, and I mean it was great, man. It was a wonderful experience. Sharing, even I think one year LaWanda Nero Butler came over with us. And,
well, actually, you had brought the song. You brought the song to us.
Yeah.
But I Need You, Lord. You had brought us song to us.
Yeah.
I Need You, Lord.
Yeah. That was something else, man. We had a glorious time, and then of course your later recordings, and then with Raymond's choir and all of that talent there. And I didn't know you had remembered that, man, when I came over there for, what's the girl, the Hawkins girl over at was it Bethel Baptist Church?
Yeah, Greater Bethel Baptist. Yeah. That was Carolyn Hawkins, yeah?
Carolyn Hawkins, yeah.
And I'm sitting right there behind you, Doc. And Bishop Wood, if I can jump in, Walter called me and said, there's this guy over here from Detroit, and he's beating his organ. And I was at Zion Temple. I said, well, I'll be up there and see who this is. And I said, oh, I know who it is. I said, that's Bishop Woods. We got to get it. We got to get him from here. Remember, we changed your house, and you remember that? We moved into a new hotel. Well, it was my place, Doc. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know what? We, years ago, Raymond and I were, we were always writing. We were always writing, coming up with tunes and stuff. So we decided we're going to sit down, let's put together folks in Akron that had songs. Because we knew other people that were writing.
Yeah.
Anthony Hale, Randy Key. I could name some folks here.
Yeah, Terry Nation.
Yeah, Terry Nation, Brother Terry Nation was writing. And so what we did, we pulled people together and told them, look, let's pull the city together.
Yeah.
And so the city came together, and it was wonderful. Time, as always, you know what time does. It causes folks to get married, and some people passed on, other folks moved out of town, and time changes everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So the folks that we had at the beginning, we lasted about 10 years, and so we still. Believe it or not, before this pandemic hit, we actually had a plan to pull a reunion together.
Yeah.
And so what we decided to do right now, we are in the process of recording instrumental music. So whenever it is safe enough to bring the choir together, we will actually have the instrumental music complete. So we just need to bring vocals in.
Well, man, let me listen. Those songs from way back then, they can live down. They can come out like it's a brand new project. Of this generation, I heard those songs. I mean, those were good Sunday morning, go to church, show enough songs that you could get with, and just like gospel music does, if this generation got a hold to that project. And you probably need to go in the studio and load them up on MP3s or do something, because you'd be surprised. They get a hold of those songs. They think, they'll be singing them in their churches or on these lives somewhere.
Well, actually, I do have the masters. I do have the reels, and so there is a possibility. The fact is just to get get the right studio that can go back and pull that media.
Yeah.
Because nowadays these studios aren't using the big reel-to-reel tapes like they used to, you know?
No, it's all computer. But let me ask you this:
Right.
you have assembled the who's who across the nation on your board, and your committees that work with you and Raymond with the men's division of GMWA. What process did you use? Process elimination did you use? Did you handpick everybody, or were they voted in? Because I'm telling you, man, your staff is second to none across the world.
Well, I tell you what, we first off, I have to really appreciate Dr. Isaac Whitman, and even before Dr. Whitman, I sat up under certain leadership that the men's division had, and Reverend Theodore King, who Reverend James Cleveland had appointed him as the first chairman of the men.
Right.
Reverend Theodore King. I don't know if you remember him from.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
Reverend Theodore King, I used to sit up under him. I had some good laughs, but he had a lot of good information. And I don't know, Raymond, if you remember the one trip that you and my dad took to Washington, and Reverend King told us at the table, he said, "Don't you wait a while." He said, "Anything you need to do, you do it yourself."
Yeah.
And then Milton Bigham confirmed that to me some years later during one of the GMWA recording sessions. I was having a conversation with Milton Bigham. A lot of people don't know he produced Savoy records for in Georgia Mass and Mississippi Mass and all them choirs. Milton Bigham's still doing stuff. But Milton had gave me some confirmation on a couple of things, and that just made it where, I'm like, so you got to have a certain level of people that really have their heart in what they're doing. And so these brothers from GMWA, we have them from Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Plainfield, New Jersey. One of the greatest, I call one of the greatest general secretaries of all time, Brother Wendell Woods, and they're in Plainfield, New Jersey. He's a beast when it comes to communication and wording and the proper language. And then when it comes to finances, Dr. William A. Barksdale out of Houston, Texas. Somebody who keeps the record straight. I could call Barksdale right now and say, "Look, I need a financial report." And I'll have it within seconds. Before we get off the phone, it's there. And Bishop, you know how it is when you have somebody that can't produce a financial report. Something's wrong with that, isn't it? Right? Oh, yeah.
Well, that's great, man, because when I looked around and I saw those guys when I was there, when y'all did the tribute to Nick's, and even before that, all of the writers that do the committees and the musicians who gather and they share the instruments, and it's a wonderful atmosphere and fellowship that you guys have created, for new people to come in and writers to feel right at home.
Right.
So man, that's exciting.
Brother Raymond Hinton is the reason why the rehearsals and all those things, what do we call those, Ray? When the rehearsals and the engine parts. Like,
well, he certainly is the sergeant at arms. he manages and keeps the ball rolling.
Yeah, I like to do things in order.
Yeah, he's the timekeeper. He's the timekeeper, the disciplinarian, and he keeps, like you said, keeps the house in order.
Yeah, you don't want to go over your time, even if I go over my time. Okay, so no, but you gotta have a staff. You know what I'm saying? We have some people in our praise and worship team. It's just the guys. Reggie Jefferson out of Atlanta, Cedric Nunley.
Yeah.
Chicago, brother Wayne Evans, who's the nephew of Reverend Clay Evans.
Yeah, old Wayne.
And, I can name some guys, Damian Price. I mean, we got them on our team, man. These guys their heart is there. Brother Daryl Ulan, he's our health and hospitality. And so what I just kind of looked at the men as a total body, not just a singing part of the convention, but a total body. We got somebody that can do finance, somebody can do health, somebody can do discipline. You know, we got somebody that can cover every area that we need. And the thing is, their heart is there. That's the main thing. Their heart is there. Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, listen, what's going on? I talk to Pastor all the time. Matter of fact, we were texting each other earlier tonight. And I know he's got to go in afterwards tomorrow to the doctor and take care of some things. But Zion Temple, man, what y'all got going? How y'all dealing with this social distancing and lives? I saw you guys on where you at home playing the piano and Raymond is at his house singing, and then Minister Nicolette is doing the introductions and all. I see y'all got this thing under control.
Yeah, we are. We're doing it, Bishop, and it's working. The members are excited about it. They're on Sunday mornings. They're on at 12 noon for noonday prayer. They're on Tuesday evening for Bible class, and then Wednesday or Thursday we're on for word of inspiration from the passage. So it's really, really working. It's keeping them engaged. We look forward to it. It's been a struggle, but not a struggle. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. They're staying strong.
But man, I know it's like going to school. Learning all this technology. I mean, man, it's been educating to me. Learning how to work Zoom, learning how to patch all this, and then this is the first night we're doing this with Sister London Washington, who's so gracious. Just asked me if I wanted to do a program, and I said, "Lord, let me try to fit it in my schedule," because we've started a lot of things with the Fellowship of Music and Arts and the Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA. I had an earlier Zoom meeting with some of them just before this. So, man, I've been keeping myself busy and trying to learn this stuff. And, listen, Brother Philip Johnson is sending us greetings. He's on the line. Hey, Phil. He's listening.
Hey, Phil. Praise God, yeah.
Yeah. The one and only, I call him, he's the Dr. Phil of the Hammond Organ.
Yes, he is. He's a bad dude on the Hammond side. Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, it's a lot going on, and we don't know when the church going to really fully open where we can feel safe to bring the choir back, or how we're going to handle these next few months getting to that point. So we just got to make this work, this virtual ministry opportunity, and then we get to reach people that we normally wouldn't be able to reach outside of the four corners of the walls of our churches. So yeah, I look at it as another ministry opportunity for us, not only as songwriters and musicians, but as a church. But we can get our music out even further. We can highlight ourselves. I mean, it's so many things we can do with this. Until I'm just excited about it. So hey,
Bishop, the thing I like about this, I'm not gonna say I love it, but I've learned to adapt. You don't have to have all the extra nonsense that goes on sometimes. You can get right down to the word on Sunday, and without all the extra talk and present. You know what I'm saying? We try to give the people good music, good gospel, and then the pastor comes right back in. Dr. Mark A. Ward, he comes right back in with the word, and goes right to it. You know what I'm saying? And,
yeah. It has made a difference. It has made a difference across the globe. I'm telling you. So I'm excited about it. I'm just trying to get to learn more, so I can be a little computer savvy and get up on this stuff. So now listen, man, y'all tell me, this generation gap that we're dealing with. I know over here in Detroit, one of the reasons we organized the Fellowship of Music and Arts is for fellowship and try to bridge the gap between the old school and what they call the new school. But it's so difficult with some of these cats, because I don't know whether they don't want to be bothered with the traditional music, as if that's all we've ever done, but when we look at the history of music, I mean, when Thomas Dorsey came along, that was taboo. His music wasn't acceptable. I mean, when you look at the Hawkins family, when Edwin wrote "Oh Happy Day," folk didn't want that song in some churches. I mean, so gospel music has evolved and been through some changes, and then we got this thing with praise teams and choirs. So I mean, people have their preference. I'm still pro choir. I'm like, bring the choir back as soon as you can. What's your take, Raymond and Walter, on praise team versus choir?
Well, I enjoy. I'm like you, Bishop. I enjoy that choir. That's what I came up on. That's what I'm seasoned to. I incorporate the praise team on Sundays. I guess when we're in house with the choirs. So I don't want to say that I can do without the praise team. That's not what I'm saying. But I can incorporate them with the choir. I will always have a choir as 9-temp, as long as the Lord allow me to be minister music there. I will have that choir, because I know that the choir will season the seasoned saints. And I think that's the best way to say it, because our praise team they haven't reached our seasoned saints yet. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Yes, they haven't. They haven't reached our seasoned saints yet. Very seldom we will get Amazing Grace from our praise team. No, Jesus Better Across the Launch from our praise team. Very, very seldom you will get that. And no, not one. We have to have it on Sunday morning. Our season saints look forward to those songs on Sunday morning. So I'm able to do it all. So that's what works for me. The praise team and the choir, I incorporate them. That's the only way I can do it. Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bishop.
I was saying, I guess some of my experience with praise team has been bad, because, sometimes some of these guys or ladies, they become monsters at the church. I mean, they be like it's their thing. It's like a segment of the service as opposed to being a part of the worship. And they start, I mean, to me, it's a thin line between performing and actual really worship. And sometimes these guys come off as performers and jumping around, and they want to fuss at the church, put your hands together, telling you like they glorified cheerleaders or something, Yeah. I'm like, no, you supposed to be singing. And we ain't supposed to be telling us what to do, And there's some of them, I can't hear them for looking at them because of the attire. That's just me,
Yeah. Well, you don't know if you're at a nightclub or down the street at the baseball game some days. Okay.
Yeah.
But now, Bishop, if you think of this, now let's go back in history, and I think this is what I always try to share with young people. Our parents and grandparents, those folks that got in those hymns and in those hymn books, those people learned a lot from being in the choir. Number one, they learned music theory. They had a more of a corporate worship atmosphere, which meant everybody was involved. And so the praise teams are really, they should be, and this is me talking. The praise teams, whenever I'm out somewhere talking to people or doing any type of a class or something, I try to let people know the praise team is just an extension of the sanctuary. They should be involving the audience in the corporate worship, because I cannot stand it when I go somewhere and they do a song that nobody knows but they. You know, the praise team. You got somebody up there doing music and don't nobody know the song but them.
Yeah, they don't get mad when the people don't get with them.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And you talking about that 2-3 seconds, put your hands together for what? Put your hands together for what? I don't know what the song was. I might start clapping off the beat. Or, you know, you sing a line, and they got to repeat the same line 833 times before you get the message. Whereas a song that, for instance, when we use our praise team at the church, we involve the audience.
Yes.
And we invite them in. We do songs that they can identify with, that they know. And there's anything new. If we're gonna do something new, we might do that with the choir. Okay.
Yeah.
We might do that with the choir. But when it comes to having praise teams, it's not a performance. It's corporate. It's corporate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you know, because if you recall, there was a period of time in church when a lot of those churches that were doing what they call worship songs, they were putting them up on screens, and then the church would get the words, and they had a leader up leading the song and inviting the congregation to join in as they went through those songs. I mean, in some cases, some people still do it, but then they got these hand-picked singers. Everybody got a mic. Some of them don't need a mic because they can't hold a note, hold a tune. You know, and it's just a different feel. There's still some churches who still use their deacons. I mean, I've seen a church open up with their deacons, with the prayer and the scripture, and a basic opening, and then they bring the praise team. They'll do maybe 1 or 2 short songs, and the choir. I mean, I've seen a little bit of all of it, but some of these places, that's just all praise team. Some of them okay, but then some of them are just outright performers, and then the ones that have made it mandatory that they have a decent uniform, or they dress complimentary to the worship, as opposed to, you know, these T-shirts that's too small and jeans that's too small and gym shoes. I mean, it's like they dress like they had rehearsal or something, you know. Yeah. So I don't know if we've gone from trying to accommodate people, make them feel comfortable, or have we offended God and the sacredness of His sanctuary? I mean, there's so many thin lines there. We've done so much. Now we ain't doing nothing. So He done shut the flesh. I just said God shut the flesh parade down. Yeah. So ain't nobody doing much of nothing. And then those that are back in church, some of them are bringing their praise teams in, or singers or whatever. I mean, and, you know, to each his own. While they're getting through this period. And if you don't have a singing pastor who might do it themselves, then they have a soloist or a small singing unit. But I'm just praying that when the church goes back up, we can see the choir again. I like to hear a full choir giving it they all. Ain't nothing like it. I don't care what they say.
Oh, no.
And Bishop, at Zion Temple, we have that. We have a choir every Sunday. We have that. That's a given. I'm thinking about where you made reference to the deacons coming out, you know, and this and that. And we were doing that. Deacons would open up with a hymn or whatever, then the scripture and prayer. And then from that point, they would turn it over to myself and we'll just continue to go into worship. I have the choir already in the choir lounge ready for church. So we were churchy, praise and worship all at the same time. We were churchy. It wasn't that I had 9 or 15. We'd have 15 people running across the front of the church. No, we're in the choir lounge. We're getting ready for worship with church.
Right. I think the church have lost a lot when it comes to the music, and I used to tell musicians, when you look in the back of the hymn book, it's categorized, under certain subjects, so you know how to pick the right song for communion, or Easter, and Christmas, or the Advent season. And we did it congregationally. We had what's called the hymn of the morning or the hymn of the month, congregational worship, where the church got the chance to sing. And a lot of places that ain't happening no more. Some churches don't even have. Used to be able to go to church and see a hymn book in back of the pew. Well, first of all, they throwing away the pews now and putting in chairs, and they some churches tearing out the choir stand in the pulpit and building stages with spotlights, and they painting the walls black, so you be like in the nightclub. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like Rep Walter just said, you don't know if you're at the club or the church. They got lights. It's dark in there. Then they turn on the colored lights in the party ball, and there you go. And then they dress. All you need is some chicken wings and a drink.
Yeah. Well, Bishop. Honestly, just when you really think about it, the hymns disciplined us as musicians. My godparents, Reverend Joseph J. Rainey and Mrs. Precious Rainey, and my dad, Reverend W.L. Scrutchings, they kept me in that National Baptist hymnal, in the Gospel Pearl.
Yeah.
You name those other books. They kept me in them books. And I tell you what, I could tell you exactly what page different hymns were on. From the front of the book to the back of the book, I could tell you the pages that the hymns were on. And my godmother was a stickler for making sure you played the melody and knew the melody, and before you go throwing all these chords. She would tell me all the time, learn the hymn, learn it first. And that's exactly what I did. And I remember Robert Townsend. I don't know if you ever heard of Robert Townsend. He was one of the greatest organists ever lived in Chicago during that time. And him and Willie Webb and David Webb, man, those guys had me doing the hymns, the anthems. You couldn't go down to First Church of Deliverance and not hear the Lord's Prayer in the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when I got that Detroit crew would come over to Chicago every now and then. When you don't ever want to put them two cities in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I was talking with Walt Clark on yesterday on his program, and that's what we were saying. The history and the lineage. It's so rich when you look at the musicians who have made contributions to gospel music, whether it's through a church. And then, I think one of the problems, that's why I like talking about this kind of stuff and bringing up names, because everybody was not a recording artist. And I tell them that in Detroit, there were some very influential musicians and ministers of music and choir directors in some churches around this city for years who had prominent music departments, who were very versed in anthems, Negro spirituals and gospels. They sung it. They sung everything. Or either they had, like People's Baptist Church, they had their own anthem choir. They had a male chorus. There's a whole lot of music ministries where the musicians did not get proper recognition. And so sometimes when I'm talking, I bring up some of those names, and people be talking about, I never heard of him, never heard of her. Well, I did, and they left such a legacy and impact when it comes to music. And I'm glad you mentioned those names, because I think they deserve honorable mention for their contributions to the church world, to music. That's important.
Oh, God.
That's important.
Yeah, just such leadership. Yeah. I mean, these guys. Look, George Clancy. I don't know if you ever heard. Have you ever heard of George Clancy?
Yeah.
Out of Charles Clancy, not George, but
Charles. Yeah.
Charles Clancy was an educator.
Yeah.
He was a renowned gospel musician in Chicago, and that I mean, literally, I can go up and down the list. There were people that, and I have to thank my God for my dad. My dad exposed me to them folks, and he would take me and my sisters, and we would go to different broadcasts. There was a musician named James McCrae in Chicago back then at New Nazareth Missionary Baptist Church. Man, I used to sit up under him on Sunday and listen to him. And then the one thing that I think a lot of young musicians don't have that we had, Bishop Woods. Now listen to this. If you couldn't do your broadcast, okay, you could call me and I could come over and cover for you. Because I knew the music at your church, I knew your pastor, I knew your choir members. You could do the same at my church.
Yeah.
And I don't really see that going on today, you know?
No, because they can't step in. They can't step in like that because they're not versatile enough. You know, well, listen, man, we could talk all day. In the few minutes that we got left, listen, why don't you, first, Raymond, I know you had some influences when it comes to directing. Just mention some of those names, and if you want to give these young directors some advice, just speak a word after you talk about some of your mentors or people you looked up to as far as directing.
Well, thank you, Bishop. If you remember, and I know you do quite well, Charles Thompson over at Holy Cross Baptist Church.
Yeah.
220 Linwood at Fair Park. That was an idol for me. I looked up to Charles. I loved his ministry. Charles was just gifted. Even back in the day, when I was in Detroit, he was just sitting there listening to, I'm sure you remember Professor Chris Ware.
Yes.
Well, that's going way back. It's under him, but Charles was really my idol. I enjoyed Charles Thompson to the utmost. He was just an idol, and I had in mind my directing from him, and I believe God did rein in on that. Charles was just gifted. I just loved his ministry and directing. That would be the idol for me, would be Charles Thompson from Holy Cross. Yeah.
Oh, man. So what advice would you give these young directors coming out the gate?
I would give them, I would tell them that they need to be sold out. They need to be serious about this ministry. And go to some workshops. Get under someone that can teach them and give them some directions.
Yeah.
I had a young director at the church, pastor's nephew, Jonathan Howard, wonderful director, and I took him under, and I instilled in him, this is the direction that we need to go. He's an excellent director. That's what I say. You get under someone that you believe in and you feel that can do you some good, excuse me, in this music ministry. That would be my key, and get you some learning. Go somewhere and be trained. Because you can't learn everything listening to a CD. That's not going to do it.
No.
Yes, that's
Good.
my encouragement to them.
Walter, songwriters, these new songwriters writing like Jeffrey LaValle and Jimmy Atherton talking about these 7-11 songs. 7 words they sang over 11 times. And that's it. Give some encouragement to young songwriters and young musicians who tried to make music a career.
Yeah. Well, you gotta live a story that you can tell, and then you gotta tell a story that you lived. Okay. So.
All right, that'll preach.
I mean, that's really what it sums up to. You have to live a story that you can tell, and then you have to tell a story that you can live. You know, and I'm gonna tell you who told me that years ago, Raymond Raspberry. He wrote, "Only what you do for Christ will last."
Yes, sir.
Raymond was actually a classmate of my father. They grew up here in Akron, over in East Akron. Both of them went to Robinson Elementary School and graduated from East High School here in Akron. My dad and Raymond Raspberry were just friends. So when Raymond would come back to Akron every year to visit his family during Christmas and Thanksgiving, he always would stop by my dad's house. And we would sit down at the piano. Oh, my God. And he would take us, Raymond knows this for a fact, Raymond Raspberry would take us from him to Raymond Raspberry tune, to a James Cleveland tune, to a Charles Nick, and then bring us back around to Roberta Martin, and just, he was a living history.
Yeah,
A history lesson. And
great.
He always had, he always had great advice. So my advice to young writers, you know what I'm saying? Tell a story that you can live, and then live a story that you can tell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate that. Listen, to all of our listeners here on Open Mic, you have heard from the nation's finest when it comes to musicianship, songwriting, and listen, minister of music, accomplished accompanist, songwriter, author. I mean, he does composition. He does it all. Brother Walter Scrutchins and Brother Raymond here. I certainly appreciate you, my brothers, for staying up with me tonight. And let's have, we're going to have to do this again. And then I get with you all the other platforms. And then let your friends and neighbors know we'll be back here next week at the same hour, 10 p.m. And we're going to try to have a comprehensive conversation. We're going to try to diversify this time that we have. We're going to be bringing on guests, and I'm going to be talking about some showing up hard stuff to talk about. Bring some preachers, some pastors on, some politics. Then we're going to talk about everything. That's why we named this program Open Mic. So thank you, Dr. Hinton and Dr. Scrutchins, for sharing with us tonight. And listen, God bless you. Everybody listening, you'll be able to, if you missed any of this, if you got on late, then you can go back, and it's going to be posted on the Fellowship of Music and Arts page, on my personal page, right here on London, Washington's page. And again, we want to thank our sister, London, Washington, for the opportunity to bring to you every Thursday night. We will be here live with Open Mic. Well, we want to say God bless you, and we'll see you next week the same time. Bless you. Talk to you guys later. All right. Good night.